My name is Hugo, and today I'll be talking about the death penalty. The first recorded execution in California happened on April 11th of 1878 when 4 Native Americans were shot for conspiracy to commit murder. And ever since then, till up to 1972, when the death penalty was deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, California held 709 executions. But in 1976, during the Gregg v. Georgia case, the death penalty was reintroduced. And from 1976 into modern times, only 13 people have been executed by the state of California. The modern methods used today is lethal injection and with lethal gas. Death penalty costs Californians an average of $184 million a year, according to Lara, reported for the Huffington Post. Since the death penalty was reinstated, taxpayers have paid over $4 billion to maintain death row. The cost of maintaining an inmate in state prison is roughly $47,000, and an additional $90,000 is included to maintain a death row inmate. The high-end security practices mandated for death row inmates added $100,000 to the cost of incarcerating each prisoner last year, which added up to a total of 72 million people that are on $72 million. The state. Another second point is, sorry, I'm really nervous right now, but another point is the legal fees and all the processes to go through is very costly to the state. The state pays up to $300,000 for attorneys to represent each inmate during an appeal, and an inmate has any appeals to appeal his case. In the study conducted by a federal judge, he has estimated that the 13 executions California has conducted, each execution has costed roughly of an average of $308 million in legal fees and security costs. According to the LA Times, a death penalty prosecution can cost the state up to 20 more times than a life without parole. See, and another interesting fact, I saw that the least expensive death penalty trial costs $1.1 million more than the most expensive life without parole case. The average stay on death row inmates in California is roughly 25 years, and with the average rate of maintenance, it costs roughly about $3.45 million for the state of California to execute a prisoner. Depending on how long death row prisoners live, it costs taxpayers roughly more to keep them alive in death row than to just send them to life without parole. From 1973 to 2009, more prisoners have died from natural causes and other reasons than from the executions alone. One of the main things, the death penalty is supposed to be seen as a deterrent against crime, but statistics have proved that this is not the case, and that murder rates in death penalty states are higher than those that have enacted the death penalty than those who do not have the death penalty. I guess I through my speech, but there it is. Pretty much my whole speech is about how the death penalty is hurtful to the state of California. And yeah. Can I email this to you in a nicer form?
Or you could just bring it on Monday.
Okay.
All right, Hugo, you've got a lot of statistical data about the costs of the death penalty in California, but you're not really making many inferences from it. You talk about the costs, we spent $4 billion over 25 years. Okay, well, that's X number of dollars each year. Can we not afford to do that? The only argument that you have that talks about whether or not it's worthwhile is the argument about deterrence. And once you introduce that deterrence issue, then there are other questions that have to be developed. Your proof on the deterrence argument is one vague reference to a state-by-state comparison, and I would assume, for instance, that the refutation speaker is going to be looking substantially at a lot of research that suggests deterrence exists. So you need to be better prepared to discuss that argument, because that's the main justification that you say exists for continuation of the death penalty, and that it doesn't really work. On the cost issue, everything's a matter of perspective, and I don't mean to suggest that $1.2 million isn't a lot of money, because, to me it would be a lot of money, but to the state of California, that's a sneeze, and I'm not exactly sure that why it is that we're worrying about that when we've got so many other things that we're spending money on. And I don't know, does the public feel like it's worth it for $1.2 million extra if somebody is sentenced to death? Even if they don't get executed, we know that they're they're in that high, what'd you call it, a high security area or something like that, and maybe they like that idea that Charlie Manson, okay, he's not being executed, but you know what, he's not getting out, and we're good with, you guys know Charlie Manson, right? Okay, I just double checking. I mean, that's an old school reference, he's still up there and he's still, in that particular situation. So it's, maybe people are happy with that. And so if you're going to put it into a monetary comparison, I think you need to add some argument here. For instance, if there's a problem with paying for other things because we're spending the money this way. For example, courtroom time, or we don't have enough prosecutors, or we're not prosecuting other crimes because we've spent all the money on these other things, then I think you've got a stronger argument about the economic impact. Without that context, it just seems like it's numbers and random information, and it needs to be developed a little more. All right, thank you.